Thank you, Madam Speaker. I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material on the topic of this special order.
Without objection.
Thank you. Tonight, I'm honored to lead a bipartisan special order on career and technical education. We have several members joining us here this evening to highlight CTE programs in their districts and the upcoming reauthorization of the Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Act. I'd like to start the order by introducing my colleague and co-lead, Congressman Krishnamurthy, who has been working hard with my Pennsylvania colleague, Congressman Thompson, on H.R. 2353, the Strengthening Career and Technical Education Act for the 21st Century.
Thank you, Representative Smucker. I really appreciate your leadership. Thank you, G.T. Thompson, Congressman from Pennsylvania as well, for your leadership. It's an honor to be here. Thank you. Madam Speaker, in recent years, global economic trends have led to an ever-growing skills gap. While unemployment has fallen to 4.4% in my home state of Illinois, there is still a widening gap between the jobs that are open and the skills workers need. This has become apparent as I've traveled throughout my district, listening to community representatives, businesses, parents, students, and education officials discuss the local state of the economy. I've been particularly concerned with the feedback I've received from businesses who continue to report that there is a gap between the talent and skills they need in employees and what they can actually find. Shortages in skilled fields like machinists, technicians, operators, cybersecurity, and healthcare are impairing their ability to grow their businesses. There is much Congress can do to improve the skills of our labor force, which is why I was proud to partner with my good friend and fellow Education and Workforce Committee member, Congressman G.T. Thompson, in introducing H.R. 2353. Our bill reauthorizes the Carl D. Perkins Grant Program through fiscal year 2023 and gives states and local governments the tools to better equip workers for higher-paying middle-class jobs in the 21st century. The Strengthening Career and Technical Education for the 21st Century Act addresses one of the underlying causes of the skills gap. What is being taught in classes does not necessarily sync up with what is needed to get a job. H.R. 2353 requires a strong buy-in from local businesses in developing state plans. With more local stakeholders involved in the process, it will better equip students with the technical skills they need to find success in local, in-demand careers. Finally, I believe it is important that we start to shift the culture surrounding career and technical education. Every student, no matter his or her career goals, should participate in some form of career education. I believe that every student needs to graduate not just with a diploma, but with another piece of paper, namely an offer letter. Some students will find success in a traditional 4-year college program. Others learn the skills they need through a 2-year community college or on-the-job training. I look forward to working with my colleagues from both sides of the aisle to ensure its passage, and I look forward to sending this bill to the President later this year for signing. I yield back the balance of my time.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to thank Congressman Krishnamurthy for his leadership on this issue. The Congressman is a fellow member of the freshman class. Really appreciate the opportunity to work with him, particularly on this very, very important topic. Next, I'd like to introduce Congressman Thompson, the sponsor of H.R. 2353, who for many years has been leading the charge here in the House to strengthen career and technical education. So I yield my time to Congressman Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I think my good friend from Pennsylvania, Representative Smucker, is doing a great job representing his congressional district and being a strong voice for Pennsylvania for hosting this important special order tonight focused on career and technical education. my appreciation to my good friend, Representative Kristen Morthy, who's with me, is leading the charge with the piece of legislation I hope we'll see on the House floor in the weeks to come. As co-chair of the House Career and Technical Education Caucus, I often say that high-quality career and technical education can help restore rungs on the ladder of opportunity. Now, this statement is one I truly believe in. For many Americans, those rungs have been displaced for different reasons, whether it's training that they've had, access to training, access to quality, effective training, whether it's been poverty, whether it's been unemployment, underemployment, all things that take away rungs on the ladder of opportunity. This career and technical education can truly restore rungs on the ladder of opportunity. It's undeniable that career and technical education has helped many Americans obtain the knowledge and skills they need to break the cycle of poverty and achieve a lifetime of success. The first step to increasing access to CTE programs, as we refer to them across the United States, is modernizing the federal investment in these programs. And it's been more than a decade since Congress has updated the federal law governing CTE programs. This is problematic due to the fact that so much about our society and our nation's workforce has changed during this time. Since the last time the Perkins Act was reauthorized, we have new skill sets, new jobs, new industry, new opportunities, new technology. So, for example, today more than 1 million positions remain open in the trade, transportation, utility sectors, and an additional 315,000 manufacturing positions are currently unfilled. Now, if we are to embark upon a new era of America manufacturing and improved infrastructure, we need a qualified and well-trained workforce to fill these positions. That is the #1 asset of any business. It's not the location, it's not the compliance, it's not the marketing. It really is the qualified and trained workforce. With all this in mind, I work with my colleagues in introducing the Strengthening Career and Technical Education for the 21st Century Act once again this Congress. Last Congress, this bill did pass unanimously out of the House Committee on Education and Workforce and was widely supported on the House floor by a vote of 405 to 5. Unfortunately, things bogged down in the Senate with a lot of good legislation at the end of last calendar year, last congressional cycle. And so here we are, which is okay, because we've taken the opportunity to make this just a little bit better, too. And some small refinements, but some improvements. We used our time effectively. Now, this robust reauthorization of the Perkins Act will help ensure that federal policies accurately reflect the challenges and realities facing today's students, workers, and employers. Additionally, the bill supports innovative learning opportunities and stronger engagements with employers. By promoting work-based learning at the federal level, more employers will build relationship with students through hands-on experience. This type of learning is invaluable to students with a wide range of interests and learning styles. Now, I'm proud to see this bill pass out of the committee unanimously once again last month, and looking forward to its consideration on the House floor and in the Senate in the future. Now, if we're serious about improving our nation's workforce and providing greater opportunities for all Americans, we will work together to move this bill through the legislative process. After all, this bill, as I've said before, does restore rungs on the ladder of opportunity. The impact of increasing access and quality of career and technical education is far-reaching. Take, for example, maybe a 15-year-old girl who, when in school, is uninspired, her head's on her desk. She doesn't learn in the typical way that many of us do, where people talk at you and teach. But if you can put something in her hands, the tools of career and technical education, that could be a welder, a set of wrenches, could be a paintbrush, could be a stethoscope, farm implements, she's inspired. She's inspired, and she does great. She excels. Maybe the young boy, I just heard about a young boy today, who's a young man now, but as a young boy, was, you know what, he was on on the spectrum scale, had some issues with autism, and you know, this young man, through Introduction to Career and Technical Education, I was so inspired to hear this today. This young man, right out of high school now, well, he went into Career and Technical Education as a welder. And today, he's making a lot of money, significant amount of money, more than what his teacher was making right out of high school as a welder, because of what Career and Technical Education did. The young couple facing unemployment and underemployment, who's at the kitchen table trying to decide how to make ends meet. And this is an opportunity for to get back into the workforce. The middle-aged worker who's been working the line manufacturing would like a promotion, do a little better by his family, bring more money home. Great, it provides and serves that person. The family who's stuck in poverty, and maybe for generations, stuck in poverty so long they don't even remember what was the incident that put them into poverty generations ago. But this is a way to break that cycle of poverty. And certainly the successful business owner who's doing all the right things, and she has invested in her business and has grown the business, and it has a great product and a great location and a great marketing plan, great compliance plan because of regulation issues. But she's closing her business because, Madam Speaker, she can't find qualified and trained workers to keep that business going, let alone grow it. These are all examples of folks who will benefit from this. I really want to thank my colleagues for their enthusiastic support of career and technical education for on a day where I know there's other places that there's pressures to be this evening. You're right here on the House floor and leading the cause for career and technical education, and I'm very thankful for that. And once again, thanks to Representative Smucker for his leadership in tonight's special orders, and I yield back.
Thank you, Representative Thompson. I'd like to again thank the Congressman for his leadership on this very, very important issue, and very much enjoyed in the 5 months I've been here working with Congressman Thompson, a fellow member of the Pennsylvania delegation, but I've seen his passion for this issue, and so again, look forward to continuing to work with you on this, and really, really appreciate your leadership. You mentioned the critical need of businesses to fill spots that are available today. And we see the unemployment rate today. We know this is a problem today and will continue to be a problem. My background is in construction, owned a construction firm, had about 150 employees. Our biggest problem always was finding qualified people to fill the spots that are available. And at the same time, I saw the opportunities that were available to people who decided to take up a career in construction. It's not as many people think. Neither construction nor manufacturing are many jobs that require technical or trade skills. Today, construction is uses technology, and there's a lot, it's not a dirty job that people once think it was, and the manufacturing's the same way. And at the same time, there are great paying jobs, family-sustaining jobs available in these fields. And so I think we need to do a better job of enlightening, essentially, the opportunities, talking about the opportunities that are available through career and technical education. And to your point, again, Congressman, there's no better way to help people out of poverty than to provide them with, connect them with a good-paying job. The self-worth that is achieved from finding a job. And we know those jobs are available today. And what career and technical education does is connect people, prepare people for great-paying jobs that are available. So again, thank you so much for your leadership on this. Now I'd like to yield as much of my time as he may need to another freshman colleague of mine on the Education and Workforce Committee, Mr. Mitchell, who has an extensive background in higher education and brings that expertise to the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Smucker. Madam Speaker, I rise today to talk about education and workforce preparedness. Prior to serving in Congress, I dedicated my 35-year career to workforce education, helping people develop the skills necessary to get a job and start a career path. There's something about the pride that comes when someone builds the skills necessary to start a career. Their whole world changes when they see what they can achieve and the difference that makes for their family. I ran for Congress with a desire to make that opportunity possible for all Americans, to help all Americans succeed, as I've had and so many others in this chamber. For some people, pursuing their desired career means a four-year college degree. I've also seen that that's not the right path for many others. Yet too often, those that wish to pursue careers in technical areas lack the skills to gain the employment and access to the skills training necessary to move forward. This leads to a problem we've all heard of, the skills gap. People young and more mature like us are unable to find jobs because they lack necessary skills, and employers are unable to find qualified staff to fill their jobs. We're seeing this repeatedly in my home state, Michigan. Several companies have been awarded incentives to grow and expand through the Michigan Strategic Fund, but have had to dial back planned expansions due to hiring challenges. The Pure Michigan Talent Connect website lists nearly 100,000 open jobs and positions across a range of industries. Businesses simply cannot find qualified individuals to fill their open jobs. It threatens our nation. We must address it. In efforts to assess the needs of our education system over the last 5 months, I've met with students, administrators, teachers, and employers throughout my congressional district. Every single employer I've met since I started office have told me the same thing, believe it or not. They need more employees with the skills necessary, the core technical skills necessary to contribute in the workforce. Despite expensive and extensive recruitment efforts, they can't find them. It's creating a real problem. They are turning down work and turning down opportunity and growth across this nation in my district because they cannot find skilled employees. Schools in my community recognize this problem, but too often their hands are tied, needing to ensure students meet arbitrary standards and testing metrics, rather than ensuring, here's the irony, rather than ensure they're prepared for employment in the community, we worry about test scores. School leaders throughout my district have asked for one thing: more flexibility to offer choices to students and families to develop skills to meet the needs of employers and, frankly, the needs of the 21st century. The Strengthening Career and Technical Education Act for the 21st century would give additional flexibility that the community and educators and leaders are asking for. It will also allow states to better accommodate local workforce needs. Schools, parents, employers, and teachers have made it clear. Career and technical education can be improved by making it more relevant to students and employers, ensuring programs are accountable, involving all stakeholders, and granting more flexibility. The bipartisan Strengthening Career Act for the 21st century achieves those goals. I'm proud to support it as one step to expanding educational opportunities and choice in this country. Thank you, Mr. Smucker, and I yield back.
Thank you, Representative Mitchell. Again, appreciate not only your passion for this issue, but the wealth of experience in this field that you bring to the table, and look forward as well to continuing to work with you on this issue. And now would like to yield to, once again, another freshman member of the class who very much enjoy working with, Mr. Ferguson. Yield as much time as you may need.
Thank you, Mr. Smucker. I, too, would like to express my appreciation for Representative Thompson for taking the lead on this on our side of the aisle. He did a great job, and also Representative Krishnamurthy from Illinois, who worked tirelessly to make this a really, really solid bill. So thanks to both of them, and thank you for taking time to lead these special orders tonight. In my district and throughout Georgia, our school systems, technical colleges, and communities are creating innovative career tech opportunities to help transition students into a workforce. Through dual enrollment in the technical college system of Georgia and work-based learning apprenticeships and career academies like the Think Academy in LaGrange, the Central Education Center in Newnan, and 12 for Life in Carrollton, Georgia. These programs are helping our young people make the transition from high school directly into the workforce, and they're also helping adult learners transition into new careers. I visited these centers and learned about these education programs, and they provide a meaningful transition for these students. They rely heavily on the Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Act. This is a pivotal workforce development tool. It enables our education leaders to develop tailored programs that reflect the workforce needs, leveraging small dollars for very large outcomes. Traveling throughout my district, the #1 issue I hear from business and education leaders is workforce development. And I have seen examples across the 3rd District of how community stakeholders are pulling together to do their part to develop career tech education and in turn create opportunities for young people to climb the ladder of success. I'm so impressed by the emerging partnerships that have naturally come about as these groups work to close the skills gap that we have in this country. They know the urgent need we have to educate students and develop these skills to fill the demands of a 21st century job. This is a story of how so many of our communities across the country, and the reason why I support the effort to move forward and reauthorize the Perkins CTE. Reauthorizing Perkins CTE will upgrade the law and more accurately reflect the needs and work being done by states and local communities, providing flexibility, streamlined application processes, promoting partnerships, accountability, and a limited federal role. It's time to make these reforms, and I proudly support H.R. 2353. Thank you, and Madam Speaker, I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. As you mentioned, this is about jobs, family-sustaining jobs, and Mr. Ferguson has a lot of experience bringing jobs to his town of West Point in Georgia, where he was mayor, creating thousands of new jobs there through innovative policies there. So I look forward to continue to work with you on this as well. Thank you. Now I'd like to yield time, Madam Speaker, to another colleague on the Education and Workforce Committee who has been a leading voice as well on CTE, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Congressman Lloyd Smucker, for yielding. I appreciate your dedicated leadership for the people of Pennsylvania. Students and businesses in South Carolina know firsthand the importance of an educated workforce to promote jobs. They also know that quality education doesn't have to come at the time and expense of a traditional four-year college degree to achieve fulfilling jobs. While visiting the schools and businesses across the 2nd District of South Carolina, I regularly learn how they have positively benefited from career and technical education programs that create jobs and lead to fulfilling lives. With career and technical education, students can incorporate practical skills and training into their educational experience, skills that are valuable to the workforce to create jobs. Businesses in South Carolina especially appreciate the opportunity to work with the technical colleges to close the skills gap and hire trained, experienced employees for highly technical jobs. I have been grateful to have the opportunity to visit at Midlands Technical College, Aiken Technical College, and Orangeburg Calhoun Technical College, along with the extraordinary programs at their area high schools. I am grateful for the work of the Apprenticeship Carolina, Ready SC, and the South Carolina Technical College system for their role in connecting students with employers. I also appreciate the countless businesses in South Carolina, like Boeing Aircraft, Michelin Tire, MTU, Fluor, and others that support the career and technical education programs and hire students from the programs or facilitate apprenticeship programs for meaningful jobs. In fact, these programs have been the basis for establishing the tire industry in South Carolina, where in the district I represent, the largest single tire manufacturer in the world at that location. Additionally, South Carolina, with Bridgestone, which is Japanese, Continental, which is German, Michelin, which is French, Gitti, which is GT, which is Singapore, and soon a Chinese tire manufacturer. Because of the training programs we have, South Carolina now is the leading manufacturer and exporter of tires of any state in the United States. Additionally, with BMW, we have that South Carolina is the leading exporter of cars of any state in the United States. In fact, last year, $9.4 billion worth of BMWs were exported out of Charleston for worldwide distribution. While South Carolina has been highly successful in promoting career and technical education programs, I hope all communities across the country can experience the success that we have achieved creating jobs. The 21st Century Career and Technical Education Act will reduce regulations and allow state and local leaders to create career and technical education programs best for their communities. As the House of Representatives will consider the bipartisan 21st Century Career and Technical Education Act soon, I urge all of my colleagues to support this job-creating legislation for meaningful and productive families. I yield back the balance of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. I'm happy to say that I'm one of those who supports the economy in South Carolina by buying those Bridgestone and Firestone tires on my vehicles. But Mr. Wilson has been a strong advocate, obviously, for the people of his district, the people of his state, and has been a leader in regards to CTE, and look forward to working with him on this bill as well. Probably will. I think we'll have one more speaker who is on the way, and as we wait for him, I'd like to highlight. Mr. Wilson talked about some of the schools in his area that have been doing a great job in connecting people, training people, educating people for the kind of jobs that are available in our workforces. The PA-16 is home to Thaddeus Stevens College of Technology, and it's an incredible story, and similar to stories of many of the other institutions that are providing career and technical education. But there was a job fair recently at Thaddeus Stevens, and for just a few hundred positions available, graduates, there were about 450 companies essentially competing for those individuals, competing to fill spots they had. And so it goes without saying that the placement rate at many of these schools, I know certainly at Thaddeus Stevens, it's almost 100% placement rate. I mean, these are, they have a problem, in fact, sometimes keeping people until graduation because students are hired away. They're offered jobs even before they graduate. Some of the students coming out of Thaddeus Stevens are earning, the average, I should say, is $45,000 annually. And some of them, we have the Marcellus shale drilling in our area, or welders. Some of them are earning up to 6 figures, $100,000 or more in the first or second year of employment. So again, the kind of jobs that we are talking about here are great paying, family-sustaining jobs. My district is also home to Reading Area Community College and the Pennsylvania College of Health Sciences, both of which offer CTE programs. And we've spoken with, as a part of leading up to this bill being introduced, with their faculty, with students, and their staff about how some of these programs can be improved. Harrisburg Area Community College has a campus in my district in Lancaster, and they do something that I think we will be seeing more of, should be seeing more of. That is, they run an innovative apprenticeship program. They brought together private businesses that work with the school to help prepare skilled workers to fill available jobs. It's a very innovative program. The program has been very, very successful, and future initiatives there include expanding the program into our local high schools to ensure that graduates are college or career ready. It's an opportunity that I think we have across the country. If you look at some other models in some of the European countries, for instance, just had a long, extensive conversation with the Swiss ambassador about the apprenticeship program in Switzerland. And here we often think of apprenticeship in what we may refer to as blue-collar workers, construction, manufacturing. In Switzerland, I was told they have apprenticeship programs in up to 230 different 230 careers. So it's bankers, insurers, many different companies are taking advantage of the apprenticeship program there. And it gets to our student debt problem that we hear so much about. Here, students are earning a degree in an apprenticeship program. Students are earning a degree while earning dollars. So it sort of does away with debt, if you think about it. You're earning dollars as you're learning. So it's a great model that I hope to see more of here. We are now joined by Congressman Langevin from Rhode Island, and I'd like to yield as much time as needed to the Congressman.
I thank the gentleman for yielding, and I want to thank Representative Smucker for holding this special order. Mr. Speaker, as co-chair of the Career and Technical Education Caucus, I rise to highlight the importance of career and technical education for our nation's workforce, and I really appreciate all the comments that the gentleman just mentioned, and I concur. Mr. Speaker, across Rhode Island, I continue to hear from employers struggling to find skilled workers to fill open jobs in fields such as manufacturing, in IT, and other trades. Hundreds of thousands of high-skill, high-paying jobs are right now unfulfilled in our country, and this number is continuing to grow. Especially as we hear about bringing jobs back from overseas, manufacturing, just by way of example, has changed dramatically. No longer, these factories, the old, dirty, noisy factories of manufacturing of old that our fathers or grandfathers were used to. Now they're all high tech. You see robots doing a lot of the manufacturing that require both programming and sophisticated knowledge how to run this advanced equipment. And so the jobs, though, are coming back. They're coming back in different ways, needing different skills. And right now, we need to ensure that our workforce is equipped with the tools to meet the demands of the economy, to close our nation's skills gap. So we can do this by better aligning education and industry. So our students, Mr. Speaker, should be learning the skills they need to succeed in growing economic sectors. This is one of the most important investments that we can make in our nation's future. Our governor of Rhode Island, Governor Raimondo, likes to say we need to give our workers the skills that matter for jobs that pay. So the Ocean State, the newly opened Westerly Education Center, right now is working to promote CTE, providing a range of courses to help Rhode Islanders meet the current and projected needs of the region's economy. The Education Center effectively brings together higher education, industry, and community partners to ensure students of all ages are prepared for workforce opportunities in Rhode Island. So classes range from industry-specific skills training to courses in critical thinking, in management, and also soft skills. CTE courses, Mr. Speaker, are in demand. Approximately 12.5 million high school and college students are enrolled in CTE across the nation, but federal investment in this area has decreased, actually, since 2011, and the Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Act hasn't been authorized since 2006. So I'm hoping that we're going to be able to see this act reauthorized very soon. Perkins is the primary federal investment in CTE, and the most important thing that we can do to support CTE across the country, to support students and businesses across the country, is to reauthorize this legislation. So it needs to be updated for our changing economy, and funding for CTE programs must be increased to support growing programs across the nation. Last Congress, I know that the House overwhelmingly passed the Bipartisan Strengthening Career and Technical Education Act, and I call on my colleagues to do the same in this Congress as well. It was in some ways a rare moment of bipartisanship in the Congress, and a great example of how we can work together, and hopefully that'll lead to other things as well. But H.R. 2353 recently passed unanimously by the Education and Workforce Committee, and it's again the product of an inclusive and thoughtful process. So I commend the chairman of the Education and Workforce Committee and the ranking member and all the members on both sides of the aisle for working so closely together. Again, a very complicated piece of legislation that passed unanimously out of committee. So again, I'd like to thank my fellow CTE caucus co-chair as well, Representative Thompson from Pennsylvania, for all his great work on this bill. He's a member of the Education Workforce Committee. He's my co-chair of the CTE caucus, and we work in lockstep on these matters, and it's been a pleasure to work with him, and I'm grateful for his leadership along with many other colleagues. So it makes necessary updates to Perkins with an emphasis on training students for the skills that they'll need in high-growth economic sectors. And the bill contains several important reforms, including increasing collaboration between education and industry, expanding student access to apprenticeships, supporting career counselors, and aligning state performance indicators with local labor markets, among other things. So unfortunately, at a time when it's more crucial than ever to invest in CTE, the President's budget has proposed, though, a budget for fiscal year 2018 that cuts Perkins state grants by that's more than $168 million across the country. In Rhode Island, that Perkins funding cut would mean a cut of more than $800,000. So if enacted, the President's budget would not only slash a crucial investment in our students, it would deeply hurt businesses. So if we want businesses to come back to the country and from overseas, we want to relocate those jobs here, we need to make sure that we have the workforce that can actually do the jobs that will be available and that are in fact available right now. So this is the time to invest in workforce development, not undermine it. Demand for CTE is growing from students and industry, and our economy desperately needs it. So, Mr. Speaker, in closing, let me just say I encourage my colleagues to prioritize CTE. It matters for your constituents, and it yields big returns for our state's economies, for our nation's economy as a whole. Put simply, providing workers with the skills necessary to thrive in the economy is essential to our economic prosperity. It's the right thing to do, giving our workers the skills they need for jobs that pay. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time to I yield back to the gentleman.
Thank you to the Congressman. Your points are very good, and we appreciate your leadership as co-chair of the CTE caucus and for the work that you've done in bringing this bill to the point where it is now. You're right, it was passed unanimously out of the Ed and Workforce Committee. We thank the chair of the committee for making that a priority. We hope it passes the floor of the House. It did, of course, last session. And then we hope it becomes a priority for the Senate as well. It's important. You mentioned some of the schools, the institutions, your district. I've talked about some in mine. I've heard from all of them. Not only have they given input into the bill itself and how we can improve the entire system across the country, but they've also talked about the importance of the grants that are provided to them through the Perkins Act, and reauthorization will be very beneficial in keeping that in keeping those grants going and providing the help that we can from the federal level. So thank you. As I conclude with my remarks, I'd first again like to thank all of my colleagues who've participated in this bipartisan special order. It really is, we've seen a bipartisan issue here. And I'd like to thank Congressman Krishnamurti for helping to co-lead this and for co-sponsoring the bill along with Congressman Thompson. My own background, I was someone with a non-traditional education. I recognize the importance of providing our constituents with educational pathways that provide them the skills necessary to launch successful careers. My experience, I know firsthand what it's like to work a full-time job while attending school. And I believe that it's important that we accommodate the needs of many different types of students that are ready to learn and willing to work. So again, I'm excited. I was very happy to co-sponsor and support the Strengthening Career and Technical Education for the 21st Century Act. This bill empowers state and local community leaders. It improves a lot of in-demand jobs, those jobs that we've been talking about. It increases transparency and accountability, and it ensures a limited federal role, putting the decision-making where it should be. I've mentioned before, but in closing, I'd like to thank my Pennsylvania colleague, G.T. Thompson, for his leadership on this critically important legislation. The level of support for strengthening career and technical education among my colleagues in the House and on a bipartisan basis is absolutely outstanding. And I'm very eager to continue finding new ways in which we can grow CTE and apprenticeship programs and expand access for Pennsylvania's working people and allow them to help to achieve the American dream. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield back my time.